So today, what we're going to do is we're going to start our paintings today working on a black canvas. And this might be familiar for some of you, but I know a lot of people feel really hesitant to do that. So we're going to try it today. We're going to try some different things. We're going to talk about transparent paint. We're going to talk about opaque paint and the differences between them. Maybe we'll get into some glazing and just try out different things. I'm going to be working partially from a landscape and then also a little bit from a still life that I've set up down here, right there. It's kind of cute. I did it really last minute, but kind of like it. And we're just going to experiment with mark making and all of that. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with a black canvas. And I know now you can buy canvases that are already gessoed black. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to do a little review on paint mixing and mixing black, which of course a lot of you already know, but review is always good. So if you're starting with a blank canvas, great. This is also an awesome opportunity to paint over something. So if you have an old painting you want to paint over, that's great. If you want to work on canvas, great. If you want to work on paper, fine. Wood panel, fine. Okay, so I am going to I usually tell people take your 3 darkest pigments and mix them together. For me today, that's going to be my phthalo blue, my alizarin crimson, and my burnt umber. Oops, I gotta use my teeth now. If your paint tubes are stuck, if the caps are stuck, don't use your teeth, use pliers. Okay, burnt umber. So you might have raw umber. Sap green is another one you can use. Dioxazine purple is a really nice dark pigment that you can use also. Any dark colors. Phthalo green and alizarin crimson are a really nice combination as well. So I'm going to try to show my palette here. Right now I just have right there my 3 blobs. So I'm going to take a big brush, the biggest one I can manage. This is the biggest one right now. This is an inch brush. If I had a bigger one with me, I would use it, but I'm not finding one. So then mix those 3 colors together and just see the differences you get. I'm ready to paint on a black canvas. Excellent, Charlotte. So here I am mixing a black, brown, blue, and red. And the reason why I like to do this is because you can get nice variations. So this is one color. Now I might go a little heavier with red, and you might be able to see it's very subtle, but you can see a little bit of a difference there between those 2 colors. And sometimes that just gives a nice vibration to the painting. Or you might go a little heavier with the blue. I'm not sure if you can see it. Another thing you could do, if you are working with black out of a tube, what I would suggest is try mixing some red into it. Cadmium red is fine. To mix a little bit of red into your paint, into your black paint, gives it a nice there in these different blacks. Now I know some people, when I do this exercise in my class, I have a lot of people just want to take a paper towel and like lightly wipe on a black color, so then they get gray. I want to start with some black. Like I want to go full on dark with it. if you're getting these little, if you're working on a canvas and you're getting those little, the weave showing through, add some water to your paint and really try to get in that texture and paint it. The reason for this is this establishes a nice base for you. I can get really distracted seeing that weave coming through in a painting. So I like to really cover everything up. This is veering a little on the blue side right now. So I might go into some more burnt umber. And a lot of times when I have students mix a black for themselves, they get really frustrated because they're like, it's not black enough. I want it blacker. And I love a nice dark black myself, but often people actually paint too dark anyway. So as long as you can get a dark value, that's fine. I usually have a hard time getting people to paint with lighter and brighter colors. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay out some more paints. I'm going to talk about opaque versus transparent pigments. So I'm going to give myself yellow ochre. Not sure if you have it, but yellow ochre is one to add to your painting pigments, your list of pigments. It is a nice opaque paint. And by that, I mean it's not transparent. It covers well. You can't see things behind it. So if I just took that right out of the tube and painted it, and you see like a nice bold mark. I'm going to compare that to regular cadmium yellow paint out of the tube. You see how you can see the lines in that? It's not as opaque. This is considered a more transparent medium. So that's what I mean by opaque versus transparent. Some pigments are opaque and you just know that they are. Yellow ochre is one of them. Cerulean blue is one of them. Burnt sienna. Titanium white. And then other paints like alizarin crimson is a very transparent. Alizarin crimson is almost considered a stain because it's so transparent. This is alizarin crimson right out of the tube. And we'll look at it as it dries. It's probably going to just disappear. Also because it's on a dark background. So that's one of the challenges with painting on a dark background is things disappear. Acrylic paints dry a little more transparent than when you put them down. And so whatever's underneath is going to come through a little bit more. So if you're painting on a dark ground and let's say you've mixed yellow and green together to get a cool green, yellow and blue together to get a cool green, and you paint it down and it looks kind of nice right now, but it might disappear once that paint dries. So that's number one of the biggest challenges about working on a dark surface. We're just gonna let these dry and see the difference here. Titanium white is considered an opaque pigment, and that's titanium white right out of the tube, and you can really see that. Zinc white is a transparent white, so that's going to disappear a little bit. When you add glazes, acrylic glazing medium, this is basically clear. It's basically paint with no pigment in it, and it's a little more fluid. When you add that to your paints, it makes them more transparent. So if I was gonna, right now I'm gonna take some of my white and add it to that. I know you can't see this. And put it on there. You see it's slightly more transparent. I'll do a little bit more here. And now it's really transparent. That's what the glazing medium does. It makes your paints more transparent. And there's ways that you can use that to your advantage. So one of the things I really like about painting on a black canvas is I love painting white things and light things and transparent things on a dark canvas, which some people think like that seems weird, but actually it will hold your light pigments a lot better than if you just paint. Like if I wanted to paint a snow scene on top of a white piece of paper, I mean, that's its own thing. It's a whole other challenge and a whole other issue. But I love painting like a light snow scene on a black canvas. This is still wet. Mine's still wet. Is everyone else's still wet? So what I thought I would do is just do a quick study of this little landscape here on this canvas. And you could, if you really wanted to, you could follow along or do a very basic version of what I'm doing. Or if you have your own picture to work from, excellent. So what I generally do to start is give myself some paint, which I am running a little bit low on my palette. So I'm just going to recharge my palette here. I'm going to give myself some titanium white. I'm going to give myself all the colors. Titanium white, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, alizarin crimson. I'm going to also give myself some of the brighter, warmer red too. Like if you have cadmium red medium, this is pyrrole red. But I want to have two different reds. And then I'm going to use some burnt sienna also. Burnt sienna is also a nice opaque pigment to use. And then finally, I'm going to use some burnt umber. So I hope you all get the idea of this. I'm going to try to wipe some of it off. So this is one way you can correct your acrylic paintings if the paint is still wet. Take some water on your paper napkin and just wipe it out. And now it's wiping out my black. Oops. So yeah, because I had just painted that black down about 30 minutes before I came online, if it's not set up, it's easy to paint your paint. It's easy to wipe your paint off, especially on these canvases. Okay, I'm just gonna paint wet into wet for the sake of this, but I definitely recommend if this is your first time working on a dark canvas to let it dry. Okay, so I'm going to start this my usual way. I'm actually going to start with some burnt sienna, and I'm just going to start by plugging in the basic design here, the basic drawing. So you see how that's mixing in there because that paint was wet. If you want examples of paintings on black canvas, just type in paintings on black canvas into your Google search. There's a lot of things out there. I couldn't think of any particular artists that do it because I think so many artists do, and it's not necessarily something that they would be known for because it's such a common practice. So I couldn't really come up with any specific artists. Goya is one that has a lot of really dark um, paintings. The barn looks like it's falling down. Okay, so I'm gonna do this pretty quick. So I'm taking my red, my warmer red, which is a more opaque color, and I'm gonna just take it out of the tube for now and paint it on. And you see there's this little shadow. It's a very light shadow, but there's a shadow on the barn. And I'm gonna just kind of leave a place for that. So I'm gonna work a little bit in reverse. I'm going to paint in some of the brighter parts of the painting and leave some of the darker parts. And so you can already see this kind of interesting dynamic quality with this. So that's all wet up there, so it's all blending in. If that's happening to you, it's very similar to working with oils when you're working wet into wet that way. I'm going to take another opaque color here, my yellow ochre, and I'm going to just start to put in maybe some of these blobs, these shapes for the trees behind here. And on and on. I'm going to just start plugging colors in to my painting. And I'm going to try to leave some of the shadows that I'm seeing for the dark part of the canvas. I'm just laughing at the barn looking so crooked. So as you add white, you see how opaque it is and how strong it stands out on the painting. Just wondering if you can see all that. Late again, but here. Hey, Kathy. We're starting with a black canvas today. So I'm going to just lightly start putting in some of these trees. Even some of the sky right now. So this is one of my favorite looks in a painting, and when I'm working on a dark canvas, is just seeing some of that black popping through, I think is really nice in a painting. You could try mixing your green with the yellow ochre so that it's more opaque. I think it would be really interesting to do a plein air painting, like painting from life, starting with a black canvas. I've never done that. If you're doing oranges, using your yellow ochre with regular yellow and red can be a really nice opaque and fiery color. So that's what I did here. So for these yellow trees, this is something I see commonly, I see a lot, is people will take their yellow and then they'll just put it on. And like I keep saying, you do that and it's going to disappear. So try adding some titanium white to it, or even just yellow ochre and cadmium yellow. But you want some opaque colors in your paint so that it pops out, so that you really see that against the dark canvas. So I'm gonna let you in on a little, another little secret of how I tend to build paintings and do paintings. Um, for some reason today, I have had the hankering to paint a snail, which is really weird because I've never painted a snail and I don't know what it is, but maybe the roundness of it, I don't know. But I think I want to put a big snail right here. like we're looking at the barn from like bird's eye view or worm's eye view. So I want to put a big snail here. So something that I do, and you might, you know, you probably do this already, but it's just some people don't, and it's fun to know about. You can do an image search for a snail or whatever image you want, and then take a screenshot of it on your telephone. So a lot of people don't, people are often trying to go back to the website to find the picture. Um, Again, sorry, my apologies if this is a review for you, but um, let's say, let me see, I'm gonna look up snail and images, and I get this cute picture of a snail. So you press this button and your on off button at the same time. And it will make a little screenshot for you. You can edit it and then hit done, save to photos, and then it's in your photos. And so you don't have to keep running, like dealing with your phone closing. Just wanted to put that out there. So I actually grabbed a bunch of pictures of snails because I wasn't sure which one I would want. And so something I do is like, it's so weird to see this, but like that one I kind of like because he's looking up, and that could be kind of fun and interesting. I definitely want the snail here looking in to the painting. You can take an image and reverse it also. If you go to edit, you can reverse it somehow, but I'm not going to do that. Let's see, which snail should I use? I'm going to use this one. No, I want the one that's looking up. So that's my snail. I'm going to work from that. I usually prefer to print pictures out, but let me tell you, my inkjet printer is, on the very last drops of ink. And I need to conserve it until I can get some more. So I'm going to just work from my phone. So I'm going to actually wipe a little of this paint off. So this is where the snail is going to go. But this is, I commonly work this way, especially back in the day. I would take different images and just compile them together in the painting. And, rather than looking for one picture that has everything, which is hard to find, this is how I like to do it. Normally I would have already planned it out, but maybe where my snail goes. I really have no idea what it is that compelled me today to paint a snail. Sometimes I just don't want to always do the same subject matter. I want to make it a little bit weird or something. So you can see that. So now I'm going to start taking some of my lighter opaque colors and painting on top of that. So this is really fun because the snail has all these striations in its shell. So what I like to do is what's called broken color, where I don't mix the paint up all the way. So the brush strokes already get those striations in them. Red oxide also, yes. That's a good one. How's everyone doing? I feel like this is kind of weird that I just decided to go with this today, but so you see how the snail is, it's still getting lost. It needs to pop out a little more. So I need to go back into it with some dark values. Now, since I'm working on a black canvas, I'm gonna try something that I like to do, which you've already seen me do a bunch, but I can't find it. I wanna take my rubber tipped brush and try to scrape some of that paint off with it. Of course. Oh, here it is. And if you don't have one of these, you could use an eraser. I'm just gonna see what happens if I scrape away. The paint's probably a little bit too dry. It's set up a little bit, but I might be able to scrape into the shell a little so you can kind of see that there. I just paint out some of these areas, scrape out some of these areas. It's actually pulling up some of the black from underneath also, but that's because I didn't let it set up enough. But you can see like that scraping through into the black underneath can be a really cool effect. And one of the nice things about working on a dark color is you could scrape out like where you know that there are dark lines or shadows for another interesting like texture or look in your painting. You can also try using a palette knife to do this. So I scraped through some of that there in the snail. Kind of fun. Another thing you can do with the black canvas, if you have them, you can play with paint markers. So these are markers that have paint in them. And I happen to have some, a Christmas present from my husband. But you can play around with like the lighter colors on top of the dark. We'll see if this works. A lot of times you have to do it straight up and down so that the paint comes right out. But just for fun, yeah, it's gonna work. So you can see I can draw on that dark canvas. So yeah, these are acrylic paint markers. You can buy things that you fill up with paint, which seems really complicated to me, but probably good because you can reuse them. Um, but yeah, I've really enjoyed these. They're fun. And I have like a gold one and a silver one. So those are really nice to work on with the black painting. So yeah, acrylic paint markers. Um, right. So there's a lot more I could do with this painting, but just wanted to show you how you might approach maybe a looser painting working on black. So there's a little shadow under the snail, and I'm going to try to just preserve that, not paint over that. So I still need that snail to pop out more, so I'm going to need to use some lighter colors on it also. I love that you're painting a snail. I have, it's just funny, you know, who knows where these things come from. Um, add a little blue to my white so I get more of a gray. So yeah, you can always go ahead and mix a dark color again um, if you need to, and come in and paint in your dark colors again. So sometimes if I'm just, one part, the paint needs to set up a little bit, I'm going to move into another section of the painting while that's setting up. I'm gonna try, if you have a bright red, try mixing yellow ochre into the cadmium red medium, because it can really make it punchy. I think I already said that, but I'm gonna use that for some of these parts of the um, barn that are a little brighter. I'm just gonna take out a little bit of this paint to show a shadow here on the barn. Something I like doing in a painting is leaving a part of it unresolved and then going in for more detail somewhere else. The logical thing here would be to put the detail in the snail because that's up close. So I want to do that. That's what my goal is going to be. Whether I do that today in this lesson, I'm not sure. I can't believe it's already noon. Wow. Um, Yeah. Something I want to do is let this paint set up a little bit more. If I want more detail, I'm going to move to some smaller brushes and go back and forth with my darks and my snail painting here. All right. It's really hard to darken an area of your painting if it's wet and light. Like, it's hard to go into a light color and darken it. You need to let it dry and then go in, because that's when you start to get a lot of like neutral middle values, um, and things just kind of smudge together. So that's happening here a little bit with me. That looks wonderful. Inspirational. That's so sweet of you. Thanks, Barbara. So something that I'm coming up against here, I want the antenna of the snail to be thinner than it is. So I'm going to take whatever my background color is, in this case, the barn color, and I'm going to paint it down so it's thinner. I need to go back into that. That's what I do. I'll do that, and then I go back with the light value on top. So I really wanted to also get around to painting my, I don't know why I thought I would be able to paint this and a still life. I think on Monday, I'm gonna continue this idea of painting on a black canvas, and I will work on this still life I have over here. And if you want to follow along here, I'll show it. You might want to set up a white object and a transparent object of some sort, and maybe even some fabric. Something really simple like this would be really good for Monday's lesson. And we're going to start on a dark canvas, and I'm going to make the recommendation that you have it dark when you start, when you like log in on Monday. Normally I'd like to try to do everything in one, like contain everything in one lesson, but it's probably best if you just start off with a dark canvas. And we'll take it from there. And then after that, I want to get into doing some portrait painting and some self-portraits and stuff. So next Thursday, I'm going to start with that. I'll probably do a couple lessons at least with that, maybe more, we'll see. But portrait painting would be fun. And then we'll see after that what happens. But all these live streams record to my channel. So if you ever want to go back and refer to them, just go to my channel. I think it's Ursula 13, Persula. And you can look for them and refer to them. And I think that's everything. If you have a friend that you think might enjoy this, please let them know about the channel. Huge thank you to everyone for being so generous and so supportive and showing me your paintings. I love that. I love seeing what you're doing. I did post everything over on blogspot.com, Ursula Gullow, or ursulagullow.blogspot.com. I can't remember what it is, but I have posted things there. Pro tip really quick, if you have a canvas that's really loose, take just some water and spray the back of it because it tightens the canvas up. So just do that if you ever have a canvas that's too loose. Thanks everyone for watching, and I love getting your paintings, so please send them to me, and have a really excellent weekend, and I look forward to doing this again on Monday. Love you guys. Thanks a bunch. Bye.